Hello, my name is Divya Shalini Anapramana Sivanandam. My matrix number is 265012. So today I'm going to present my individual assignment. So the introduction to this assignment is the purpose of the study was to analyze the impact of corporate governance index on Suncare Traders Limited in India's financial performance. So Suncare Traders, the case study was undertaken in the period of 2014 to 2018, which is a total of 5 years. So the study reviews the concepts, theories, methods and the standards associated, and also the analysis which influence the corporate governance index by specific factors and systematic risk. So the corporate governance index main issue faced is accountability. So the main issue here to investigate the impact of companies' accountability towards the firm specific factor, to investigate the impact of accountability towards systematic risk, and to investigate the accountability towards firm specific factor and systematic risk. So next, moving on to the literature review. So in this literature review, I will emphasize on three things, which is the meaning of accountability, corporate governance index, and the exchange rate. So meaning of accountability, according to researchgate.net, accountability implies that administrators at the end of the day should be held accountable for the services they give to the society. Also, written in businessdictionary.com, accountability is the obligation of an organization or an individual to account for its activities, to disclose the results in a transparent manner and accept responsibility for them. As stated by Merriam-Webster webpage, accountability is to account for one's action or an obligation, also known as willingness to accept responsibility. As for the Corporate Governance Index comprises of the 5 principles of corporate governance, which are accountability, fairness, transparency, independence, and ethics. Next is exchange rate, as stated in investopedia.com by James Chan, is an exchange rate is the estimation of one's country's money versus the cash of another country or monetary zone. For instance, what number of US dollars does it take to get 1 euro? As of December 13, 2019, the exchange rate is 1 ringgit 10 cent, which means it takes 1 ringgit and $10 to purchase 1 euro. Written in economictimes.india.com, exchange rate is the cost of one cash regarding another currency, and as stated in thebalance.com, exchange rates disclose to you how much your money is worth in a remote cash. Consider the cost of being charged to buy that cash. Moving on. So here I'm to explain about how accountability, my issue, related to corporate governance index in the study. So using corporate governance index, the issue was identified as accountability out of the 5 main principles in corporate governance, as it was the one with the least fulfilled according to the requirements. So as you can see, according to all of these here, accountability has the least fulfilled requirement compared to the rest of the principles. That is why the issue was identified as accountability in corporate governance index. The dependent and independent variables in my case. In this case, the dependent variable was corporate governance index, and the independent variable would be the internal and external factors. The internal factors are ROA, current ratio, quick ratio, average collection period, debt to income, operational ratio, and operational margin. The external factors are GDP, inflation, exchange rate, and interest rate. So in this case, exchange rate as the external variable, operating margin, debt to income as the internal variable were the main variables affecting the corporate governance index. So operating margin, which is calculated using EBIT over revenue, indicates how well the daily operations were monitored and accounted for with the amount earned, and thus affects the index. Debt to income, which is calculated using total liability over total income, indicates the amount of debts of earnings, which will help for the shareholders to see and decide if they want to continue investing or not. So moving on to next slide. Methodology used in my study. So I used the IBM SPSS statistical package for social sciences statistics, and used the ENTER method, which was applied with multiple linear regression. For the data and samplings, the sample selected for the study is from a trading company, which is Suncare Traders Limited, and the data collected were from the company's annual financial statement with a span of 5 years, from 2014 to 2018, using the financial statement, cash flows, and balance sheet. The annual report data and samplings were used to classify the internal and external factors influencing the trading company's performance. Moving on to the statistical techniques, Suncare Traders Limited India was selected for the study, and the data was derived. The annual report for each year resulting from 2014 to 2018 were collected and analyzed. The information of the income statement and the balance sheet of this annual report were used to measure the impact of specific factors on each year of the trading company from different aspects such as liquidity risk, operating risk, corporate governance index, and so on, in order to determine macroeconomic variables which are also systematic risks or known as external factors. A 5-year GDP, inflation, exchange rate, and interest rate are gathered to see the change in the economical conditions. As for the data analysis, the results from the study were scrutinized using interpretation and comparison of the outcome of the regression method. So as you can see in the diagram, there are three things which we have to take into account, which is internal factors, external factors, and internal factors plus with external factors. Moving on to analysis and findings. Descriptive statistics. Based on the table above, the debt to income shows 0.47 of mean, which indicates that every Rm 1 ringgit of debt will be covered with Rm 0.47 cents of total income, while the standard deviation shows moderate volatility of risk of 0.28% throughout the 5 years. So these statistics were taken from all the factors that might influence by using IBM SPSS statistics. So it's also stated here, ROA recorded the mean of 0.061, which implies every 1 ringgit of assets will generate 10 cents of net income. The current ratio and quick ratio recorded the mean of 2.16 and 1.29 respectively, and the average collection period stated the highest standard deviation of 13.91, which means that the average collection period of the company is more unpredictable as compared to others. Operational ratio and operational margin state the mean of 1.03 and 0.03 respectively, with the less volatility, standard deviation of 0.07 and 0.016 respectively. GDP recorded the mean of 7.5120, and inflation and interest rates show the mean of 4.45 and 6.51 with moderate volatility. The exchange rate recorded the mean of 76.17 and the standard deviation of 4.46. Moving on to the correlations. My correlations is based on my model 1, which is the internal factor plus with the specific factors. So in correlation, the correlation of corporate governance index to both internal and external factors of SCTL, which is a short form for Suncast Traded Limited, is shown in the table above. It shows that the operational margin is positively significant to corporate governance index with a value of 0.095, which is equivalent to P less than 0.9, which means it is significant. Debt to income and exchange rate are positive values but are not significant to corporate governance index as they are more than 0.1. Moving on to my ANOVA. From the ANOVA table, the result has shown that model 1, the internal and external factors resulted in a statistically significant with P value which is less than 0.1, which is 0.065. This means that exchange rate, operating margin, and debt to income are the strongest variables to explain corporate governance index. Moving on to the model summary. From the table above, the result shows model summary that resulted in model 1 when the variables were tested in SPSS. The result obtained from model 1 when the internal and external factors were examined singly out of 98.9% of the adjusted R-square, which implies the predictor variables are able to explain the observation in corporate governance index, while the other 1.1% is unexplainable. So this model showed the predictors are highly explainable to the corporate governance index, which is considered good for the company, and the 2.614 Dermid-Watson shows negative autocorrelation, indicating that the significant variables tested are good predictors of the elements of interest in this case. Moving on to the coefficients. From the coefficients, it shows that the debt to income has the most significant impact to the corporate governance index, as it is positive, which is P is less than 0.1 with a value of 0.034. This shows that it will increase the profit, which will reduce liability in the company. As for the discussion on conclusion and recommendations, so it is shown clearly that from the table of correlations that SCTL was affected by model 1 the most. So which are those which are significant, negative, positive, and not significant are showed. So based on the three models, the best model for my study is the first model, which is both the internal and external factors. And the research is also limited to one trading company and only for 5 years. So the recommendation for this study is to take companies from other industries or different companies within the same industry and for a more wider years or more years. So the more significant result and efficient will be proven to be with strong evidence of the factors influencing and explainable to the dependent variable. Thank you.